So minority representation in data and measurement is really, really important. If you can't measure it, you can't plan against it, you can't optimize against it, and it actually can mess up your media mix in a pretty aggressive way. So obviously at TelevisaUnivision, that's extremely important, right? So there are still hundreds of national advertisers that do not spend in Spanish language media, and a lot of that is due to, we think, false signal in data or lack of representation in data. So there are things that we're doing to solve it at TelevisaUnivision. So I've mentioned in the past our household identity graph that we launched. That is now up and running. We have multiple agencies and some of the largest advertisers in the world leveraging our household ID graph, which is really, really exciting. And then most recently, we announced the Joint Industry Committee in partnership with some of the biggest publishers in the ecosystem, NBC, Paramount, Warner Brothers Discovery, AMC is going to be part of it. We'll have representation from all of the holdcos as well. So it's extremely exciting. Now, the Joint Industry Committee, I think, becomes a forum and a mechanism to standardize, create standards for media measurement, particularly in cross-platform, as well as things like attribution. Now, representation will be a big part of that, and that's why TelevisaUnivision wanted to be part of the JIC, because obviously we want to continue to push that forward. It's very, very important, and we think it's vitally important to properly executing your marketing strategy, particularly when minorities, particularly in the US, are growing by leaps and bounds. Right? One of the largest growing sectors in the US is the US Hispanic audience, biggest contribution to GDP, right? So really, really important that we're accurately reflecting those audiences in all of the data that we use, not only to measure, but also to plan, optimize, and steward.
And when it comes to different currencies, some of the newer currencies that you're seeing, is there anything that you think is positive about what's happening, or anything that's missing, anything that you'd like to see in terms of this multi-currency environment?
Yeah, I think multi-currency is really important for the ecosystem because it will champion innovation. We are big partners with Nielsen, and we always will be, but we'll also be partners with VideoAmp. We've announced them in the past. We're doing some interesting work with Samba now, spinning up some work with iSpot. We've done work with 605. I think it's important to have all of these sort of big entities involved, again, because it'll drive innovation. I think competition is good in this space, and also the more people you have thinking about solving these problems, the better we're all gonna be. It is not easy to solve cross-platform media measurement and solve it in a way where not only measuring, but where that data also gets pulled forward into the planning and optimization and activation space, right? For years, you really only had one company that was really focused and resourced to try to solve that problem. Now that you have 5 or 6, I'm extremely optimistic at the pace of change that we'll see and the advancements that we'll see.
And do you sense that there's good representation in any of these currencies? I mean, brands that are missing out on the Spanish language market are missing a huge segment, a younger population, very tech savvy. I mean, there's a lot that they need to be aware of, right?
100%. And the way that different segments within the population consume media and interact with media, to your point, is very different. We've seen, I think, great progress across the board. I think the good news is, 2-3 years ago, it wasn't really talked about much. Now I think it is part of the active dialogue. Again, back to the JIC, a big part of our participation is driving that sort of voice in market about the importance of that. But we've also seen from each of these big, these players, they want us to sit at the table and help them work through this, and we're willing to do that. So I'm really, I think, again, optimistic at how representation is now part of the conversation. It's also why it's really important for us at TelevisaUnivision to partner with multiple measurement companies, right? At the end of the day, there will be multiple players in this space, and all of them are going to need adequate representation in their data. And if TelevisaUnivision can help solve that problem, we are more than willing to roll up our sleeves and do that.
And finally, Dan, there's this idea about moving from measuring results to optimizing. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is a topic that I think is near and dear to my heart. We spend as an industry probably billions of dollars on measurement for attribution and ROI. And oftentimes those studies come 2-3 months after a campaign ends, or they're highly, highly modeled and theoretical and drive very, very high level allocations like market mix modeling. And it's not to say that that's not good. It is good. It could just be so much better. Right? In the sense that why just look and spend a lot of time, effort, and resources telling you what happened yesterday if you could actually figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So this has been a big initiative at TelevisaUnivision, particularly because, again, there are so many advertisers, who feel that, oh, maybe we're reaching this population in our English language buys, or we don't see the results, or it's hard to measure the results. We want to jump right over that and move to, actually, we can optimize campaigns based on KPIs. So instead of, again, being the weatherman that told you that it rained yesterday, we want to be the weatherman that's telling you with a high degree of confidence that it's going to rain tomorrow or next week or 2 weeks after that. So we spent a lot of time investing in data and analytics to do that. It's not too different than the way that we've transacted in media today, right? We predict impressions to sell television, right? We predict audiences and forecast audiences to sell digital. Why can't I predict and forecast footfall traffic or credit card transactions or Google search, right? Or website visitation. So again, investing in the right data and analytics to actually forecast those. As soon as you do that, right now you can actually start to optimize and build the best possible media plan and schedule, target the best possible audience, first go around, and not have to wait 3 months and then try to figure out how to do it better next time.